Hello guys, I'm here on Self-Love Sessions vlog podcast. It's going to be a short and snappy one today. I just wanted to share a couple of things that I've been pondering on whilst I've been away in this beautiful little medieval town of Évora. If you ever get a chance to come along here to Portugal, then do come here because it's absolutely stunning, and it's great wine too, which is always a good thing. It's pretty hot, dry as hell, 40 degrees, so I'm here in the shade trying to not sweat my tiny little teeth. Anyway, let's get to this subject of self-love sessions today. It's going to be short. I was just thinking about things as I've been away and I thought I would share it with you. So I've been away for a few days. I actually stayed an extra night because I have been in the house for a long time. I haven't been very well. I've just had some flu or something, but I was sitting on the sofa for a couple of weeks and my energy was becoming extremely stagnant. And if you are one of my Kundalini students or you practice Kundalini yoga with me, then you'll know that I always talk about keeping your energy, your internal energy, flowing like water, so it doesn't become a stagnant swamp. My energy definitely became a stagnant swamp over the last 2 weeks. So I needed to get out the house. I needed to get out of the four corners of my house, because I don't know whether you've ever noticed, and you'll probably know this from like lockdown and working at home and stuff like that, that when you spend a load of time inside the house in these like rigid walls, you also spend a little bit more time in your mind in those rigid walls, and it's like this Truman Show, right? And so for me, it's really, really important to keep the energy moving in my body and keep my creativity sparked by getting out of the house. So I work in the house. Oh, there's a jumping spider. I'm not a fan of the jumping ones, you know, when they're just like, no. So because I spend a lot of time in the house, I do need to get out of it to get that energy flowing so I don't feel like swamp-like and flat and horizontal, right? So I wanted to come on here and just talk quickly about something in yoga that we work with, which is the word brahmacharya. Now, I don't know whether anybody's heard about this before, but it basically means the right use of energy. So the right use of your energy. And I've been thinking about sort of work and time scales and how specifically in the UK, but also obviously in the modern day world altogether, we have this sort of like expectation that we have to be doing things all the time, and this expectation that we have to be working for such long hours, and it's almost like a status symbol. The more exhausted you are, the better you are, the less lazy you are, the more successful you'll be. And I just wanted to pop by and offer a couple of very humble words about actually how I flip the script when it comes to the way in which I work. I used to be a bit of a workaholic, actually. I suffered in the past and still do a little bit, but it doesn't bother me anymore, with OCD. So having to continuously have things in a specific way. And it stemmed from a bit of an anxiety disorder that I used to struggle with, but I no longer do. However, this sort of manifested itself into the way in which I worked. So I was very, very hard on myself with work, my workload, being at work, how long I was at work for. When I wasn't at work, I was hard on myself. And actually it burnt me out. It wore me out, it burnt me out. I had this really strange thing going on in my mind that I thought that I couldn't be successful, I couldn't live the life that I wanted, I couldn't provide my students with what I wanted to give them if I wasn't sort of like suffering somewhere. Do you know what I mean? And this is really ingrained into the way in which we work in the modern day world. What do you think about that? Leave me a little comment if this is something that you've noticed in yourself, something that you've noticed in specifically living in the UK. So you work. not just even work. When you are not at work, it's always this feeling of having to do something. And just sitting and being like I am right now in a park and partly escaping from the sun. But it used to be the case that I would feel guilty for that, and I would feel like I wasn't sort of like moving forward in any way, shape or form, like I wasn't growing. I was becoming lazy and stagnant. And I wanted to talk about this because I want to talk about brahmacharya, right use of energy. So, you know, when the Swedes, I think they cut their work hours down to 6-hour work days. Don't quote me on that. Somebody will know that. If you know it, tell me in the comments. But I've got a feeling that they cut it down to like 6-hour work days is like the norm. And obviously the reason that they've done that is because they've recognised that people human beings aren't actually meant to be working in those really, really, really long stints, and actually it's made them more unproductive than it has productive. And what I notice whenever I work shorter and more effectively, same with anything. So say, for example, say I've got an hour to clean my house. Not that I do that often, and I'm not like a total dirty person, but I'm not necessarily into cleaning that much. However, if I've got an hour to clean the house and I know I've got this time and then I've got to do something else, or I'm going to the beach or whatever it is I'm doing, then I know that I'll do that really efficiently. If I have all day to do it, a whole 8-hour stint of thinking, right, I've got this house to clean, it's like I'll clean a pot and then I'll do something else, and then I'll put a shoe away, and then I'll do something else. And I just find that there's something really unproductive about this sort of like waste of energy. And that's, to me, what I've been recognising whilst I've been away. Have I recently been wasting my energy in things that I don't need to be wasting my energy in? Now, this waste of energy, correct use of energy, brahmacharya, can filter out into different areas of your life. Like some people might find that it comes into an area like people pleasing, without actually understanding what that's doing to their own energy. Some people might do that, this sort of like waste of energy, whereby they're not productive at work, like I'm just talking about, like we're at work for 12 hours, but actually we've probably only done 2 hours of really, really effective work. So why are we there for the rest of the time? And I know it's different jobs, different things, different careers, different ways of doing things, but in general, how can we be more self-respectful? How can we give ourselves a little bit more time, a little bit more self-love, and actually think, where can I cut back on some of the things that I'm doing? And am I just wasting energy? Am I just pushing energy outwards without actually refilling that energy, allowing it to move like water? Is it becoming a stagnant swamp where I'm actually not being productive at all? And how can I do what I need to do in a more productive time scale so that I can then replenish my energy around that? So I often sit like in the house and I'm doing some work, and I might be doing, 6 hours worth of work, for example. But in that time, I've also sat around thinking about the work. I've also made loads of cups of coffee. I've also scroll through something on the internet, like, and recognise that I'm actually not being productive at all. I've also looked at things that I don't need to be looking at during work hours, and I'll go down a rabbit hole. And have I just spent a load of energy thinking I'm at work or thinking I'm being productive, when actually I could have done, right, I'm going to work from 8 till 11 and then I'm going to the beach, and I'm going to do, because that's my work time. Or I'm going to work from this time till this time, and then I'm going to go climbing in the mountains. I'm going to work from this time till this time, and then I'm going to set up another business. I'm going to work from this time till this time, and then I'm going to spend some time cooking myself and my family or whatever a really healthy, nutritious meal without feeling like I'm rushing my leisure or rushing other times. If we put these really effective uses of energy into these much smaller time scales, how much more productive could we be? I mean, I've been out here in Everett, and I've just been 3 days out the house, and already I've got a book full of new ideas, inspirations. I feel completely revived. My energy is now not a swamp, it's now a nice flowing brook through the centre of my body, I hope. I feel much more revitalised to be able to teach my students. I feel much more revitalised to be able to do my own Kundalini yoga, which is really important to me. I just feel like inspired. I've seen new places, I've seen a whole new culture, even in the same country that I'm living in. But I feel inspired, I feel fresh, I feel creative. I've been more productive in many ways. I've got some bits of work done in a small space of time that's taken me 10 minutes, that if I was sitting in my house going, right, I've got all day to sit here, it would have probably taken me all day. And this is what I wanted to talk about. So I wanted to talk about how can we, for self-respect, for self-love, recognise if we are expending energy and just chucking energy away, not replenishing our energy, and how can we use that energy more effectively so that we're not flat. And something that we do in Kundalini yoga is we work with moving from a flat horizontal energy, which can create depression and low mood and a feeling of flatness, a flat state, a horizontal state, and we bring it up to how can we bring that vital life force energy into a more vertical, uplifted state. So that's something we do in Kundalini yoga, but it's more or less something that we should be doing on a regular basis in life. And as we've been stagnant in a house and just sitting there doing this and thinking we're doing loads of work just because it's a long time, are we actually doing that? Is that self-respect? Is it coming back to self-love? Are we then saying to ourselves after that, I don't have time to spend 20 minutes on a yoga mat? Are we then saying to ourselves, I don't have time to spend with my family, I don't have time to cook myself a nice meal to nourish my body? And you know, that's the first form of self-respect, right? And self-love is what you put in your mouth, because that then becomes the energy that you use. So are we saying to ourselves, I don't have that energy to spend on myself, because we've just spat out energy like it's never ending? And energy is never ending, right? Energy is around us and inside of us, and we can use it. It's there to be used. But when it's used, it also has to be refilled. And are we just using it without refilling it? And how can we be more effective with that energy? So that's what I wanted to pop by with today, guys. It's just a little thought in my head. How can we use our energy more efficiently so that we can be kinder to ourselves and make sure we're keeping some of that energy for ourselves? Because the most important cup to fill up is our own. Otherwise, we can't give that to anybody else's, because we just become depleted. Okay, so that's a little yogic teaching of brahmacharya, correct use of energy, and making sure we're giving it to ourselves because we deserve it. And yeah, okay, Satnam, guys, lots of love, and I shall see you tomorrow. I hope everybody's well. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in.